Coach Paul Doherty, Folsom High School. And last year we did a video on his team, the Folsom Football Factory, because Folsom has been pretty dominant around this area, Sacramento, the greater Sacramento area, and really Northern California since, 2010?
I mean, really good football before 2010, but 2010 was the first state championship team. But they were really good in 2009. Certainly has ramped up since then.
Then this last year, you guys did something special. You finally got over the hump, got your first state championship. I was there for the end of last season. You know, you got almost there, and then you got beat by De La Salle. You know, did that remotivate you to get you to where you were today, you know, winning a state championship? You want to talk a little bit about that road?
You know, we fell short in the state championship game in 2021 to a good Cathedral Catholic team. Had our chances to win that game in the 1AA state championship. You lose that game in December, you start in January. I think we talked about that, where the weight room is kind of emphasis number one. Passing academy, flag football, kind of a K-12 program approach. So the things that kind of take away from that process, there's a lot of external distractions, whether it be 7-on-7 or whether it be recruiting or taking trips. I mean, the recruiting process is a necessary component, and if I'm going to stand here and be a big believer in education-based athletics, you know, as it pertains to the CIF, then it's really a pathway for these kids to go to college. And we have kids that have legitimate opportunities to go to college, but all of that attention, all of that stress on kids kind of takes away from being focused in the weight room, staying home and lifting and really preparing your body for what's coming. And what's coming is a brutal, brutal schedule. And the schedule was as brutal as it ever was in 2022. So we're scheduling these teams, we're beating these teams, and then we're the ones that are left empty-handed and staying at home in 2022. So you kind of carry that into 2023, and the process is the same. The January deal is the same all the way through the summer, all the way through the season. And I think we were fortunate enough to where, although our kids were beat up and tired, et cetera, for the most part, no major injuries, no kids missing. And so we were definitely on the uptick in 2023, where we were kind of gaining momentum. We probably overachieved, which is a very rewarding experience, gratifying. We were very, very young in a lot of areas on the offensive side of the ball. And then we had a lot of first-year starters on defense, guys that were playing behind these talented kids in 2022. You had first-year starter Kay Dutton at corner, first-year starter Daniel Chavez in the secondary, first-year starter Diego Villarreal on the D-line. You know, you had a bunch of these kids who were kind of getting their first shot of playing a ton because they were behind guys in 2022. So they were fresh, they were healthy, they were hungry. The momentum was kind of gaining. We lost 4 games in 2 years by a total of 14 plus 8, 22 points. You know what I mean? So we're playing pretty competitive football, but we were able to see it through and finish in 2023 with a state championship in the Division 1A game, which was awesome.
You mentioned that you had a young roster this year. I mean, your quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks that I've seen around. Also, Jamison Powell, right? He was your leading receiver this year, sophomore. You were down, I think, in overall talent is the way that I viewed your roster this year from the year before. But this year, it seemed like they made the plays when they needed to towards the end, and they grew up a lot during the season. What was that all about?
I mean, I would probably agree. 2022, we were stacked and loaded with senior 4-star guys, Rico Flores and Austin Mack. We had 5 kids who were sophomores starting for us during the COVID season. In 2023, young, in some regards, yes, on the offense side of the ball, but probably more accurately, inexperienced, with a bunch of kids that were seniors playing on the defense side of the ball. Kind of developed this chemistry where in a lot of moments the young, inexperienced guys made kind of splash plays that our team was able to take advantage of and kind of put us over the top in certain situations. We had a lot of momentum, which I think is a real thing in the postseason, coming in hot. I don't know if we were coming in hot. We were coming in with energy, momentum.
Energy.
Yeah.
A lot of.
It was definitely a different vibe than 2021 and 2022.
You said earlier is K-12 program. Is that part of what makes the Folsom Football Factory the Folsom Football Factory?
Huge. I mean, I'm the head coach on the junior Pee Wee team. 8, 9-year-old kids. These kids have been on the sidelines running amok and playing in the junior program forever. And I think just that whole culture of Folsom is going to find a way to win. Folsom is going to get it done. Folsom is going to play a better brand of football than the opponents, a higher level of football schematically, intellectually. This is how football is done, and it's done K through 12. You talk about the process, you talk about January through December. That's a very real thing, and I think the kids that are in our program for the duration, Austin Mack is a kid who's here freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, passing academy and otherwise, like, that this is what it is. This is how you win. This is what it takes. The coolest part of 2023, the incredible poise on the sideline. No disrespect to any opponent or whatever. Our kids and our coaches really, really felt like we were the better team. It was our game to win. The poise that our team showed all the way to the very end was incredibly rewarding for a coach. Like, my kids were locked in.
And that goes back to reload, culture,
Yep.
next man up.
Yep.
It seems like you guys were just locked in. It was
probably
fun. It was fun to watch.
Probably
for sure.
no better example than the quarterback, right? I mean, like, next man up, reload. Like, we were coming off a 2022 season with a 2024 quarterback in Austin Mack, and good move for Austin. Austin goes to UW. They make a run. They're in the college football playoffs. He's playing behind Michael Penix, who's, arguably the best quarterback in the country, and they crush, and then that whole staff goes to Alabama. I don't know if there's a bigger brand in college football, and now Austin Mack is at Alabama, and expectations are that he'll be ready whenever his opportunity is. Like, he's going to be playing probably behind Milroe. Yeah, I imagine. I don't know how it'll happen, but he'll be ready to go. You have to be ready to go.
The thing I think about when I think about Folsom is there's been different head coaches throughout this tenure of success that Folsom has. How does that work? How does that help you keep the culture? And what are the things that you keep an eye on to make sure the culture stays?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece to that is Jordan Banning. Jordan Banning, the associate head coach, guy probably should be the head coach, part of this community, an off-campus coach who volunteers 1,000 hours a week to kind of keep this timeline of Folsom football going. He played in the program, then he got hired to coach at 18, 19 years old, fresh out of high school and first year of college. And he saw this whole transition, this whole change that, to be quite frank, Troy Taylor is principally responsible for. And he learned, like, this is how you win. This is how you change. You have to educate the coaches. You have to coach the coaches. The coaches have to get better. You have to find coaches that are in your program that have played for you. We have a ton of coaches in the program now that played for me, whether it was at Whitney High School or Sacramento High School or at Folsom High School. Like, you kind of cultivate it from within, and the expectations are really, really high. And so to be able to sustain that culture, year in, year out, it really comes from the community, from Jordan Banning, who's setting the tone and setting the expectation. This is how it's going to happen. This is where we're going to find kids. This is where we're going to find coaches. So if you want to win at Folsom, this is the blueprint. It's tried and true, and this is how it's done.
So you guys are always trying to get better as coaches, and then how does that affect your program, throughout the next year?
We make an effort to build relationships with college coaches, with college programs. We went out and visited Notre Dame. We went out there because we had big-time tight ends coming through the program, and we wanted to learn how to use the tight end. Like, how do you do it? How do you do it in 12 personnel? How do you do it in 13 personnel? What are some things that are good? How does this affect the game? I had never done it before. And because we have players in the program that are incredible and that these college coaches are recruiting, they want to build the relationships with us. So if I'm going to take 4 coaches and fly out to South Bend and spend a ton of money to stay in a hotel and be in the office for 4 days and figure out how to learn 12 personnel, like, tell me, educate me so that I can better prepare my kids. And they're like, totally honest, like, we don't think we can get a kid like Rico Flores. And it's like, you're Notre Dame, like, you're perennial top 5 college football playoff. And so we kind of built that relationship, and all of a sudden, like, all right, well, we'll come out and we'll recruit him and build a relationship, and boom, like, he's on campus there mid-year transferring. So we're spending 4 days at the University of Washington during spring ball. We're spending 4 days at USC during spring ball. We're at Notre Dame. We're at Alabama when Bill O'Brien is there, and guess what? Now we have kids at Alabama. That's not a coincidence, you know what I mean? Because we spent 4 days at UW with Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer. And when Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer tell you they genuinely are vested in Austin Mack and his development and what he's going to be able to do in that program, I got to go up there and see it firsthand because my job is to protect our kids and make sure they're not being exploited or whatnot. And so when they take Austin Mack from UW and they take him to Alabama, like, that's a real thing.
So talk to me about your schedule. I know you guys have a new opponent on the schedule.
Yeah, so I think two pieces there when you talk about the schedule. Number one is there is no off season. We finished playing on December the 9th, and then college coaches are on campus in January, and it's a zoo right now on campus, and we get a ton of support from the admin to accommodate or whatnot. But we start training right away because when the college coaches come, they're going to see you in the weight room because that's what we're doing. Everything we do on the field in these showcase type events are, the same things we're doing on weekends, training kids. Like, this is how we train the quarterback. This is what we're going to do when the quarterback coaches are here evaluating the kids. And so we're trying to get ready for, that postseason run. And to be quite frank, like, we're trying to get to the next level. We won the Division I state championship, and that's great, but we are the first ones to know and admit there is another level of high school football in this state of California, in the country, that's played at 8 o'clock, whether it's Mater Dei or whether it's Bosco or whether it's Santa Margarita or whoever comes out of the South, the Southern section or whatever. That brand of football is going to be different. Like, when we're playing the best teams in Northern California, it's a lot of, schematically, it's just different. A lot of too high looks, a lot of drop 8 looks, a lot of zone coverage, disguise looks, Those guys are really, really, really well coached at Sarah and at De La Salle. So we want to play those guys. We want to beat those guys. But should we be fortunate enough to play those guys and beat those guys, then we got to play the next guys. And the next guys are good.
For a public school, you guys play an incredibly brutal schedule. Thank you so much for stopping by and, spending the time with us. And we will check in with you, I'm sure, again over the next off season, I guess we'll say. So
in season all the time.
In season all the time. There's really no off season, I guess.
Yeah. We stay working.
Yeah. So. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your state championship, your first one. And I'm sure it's not going to be your last.
It's our 5th. That's the way everyone keeps saying that. It's your first one. It's our 5th.
Our 5th.
That's how we do it.
I love it. I love it. Team all the way through.
Appreciate you.
Thanks.